welcome to the people of South Australia.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, Leon.
You don't have to work anymore, so have you taken out a second or third mortgage, or you just love it?
No, I do love it. I took a break for about 4 years, and partly because I wasn't too well, but now I'm much better, and I moved over to New Zealand, and got a house there and went sailing and did some fishing and grew some apples and some vegetables, and renewed my energy and went back to work last year. And I did the Wizard of Oz in London, playing the Wizard at the London Palladium, and because my grandchildren had never seen me do anything live, so it was very appropriate, more so than the Phantom or and then plus which it was 25 years ago, so they weren't born, and it was a great opportunity to let them know what Papa did for a living, or used to do.
Tell me,
so now I'm back and hungry.
I bet you are. So is that why we've now got the story of your life?
Well, no, that was the idea of my record producer out here, Robert Brigby, in Australia, and he recorded me about 25 years ago when I first started coming over here, and had some good fortune to do some recordings. I mean, I didn't start recording till we did Phantom. That was the first time I really started to sing properly.
Yes.
And so this is a collection of from when that started, and so it's the last 25 years. Starting with influence stuff that, like West Side Story, which was the very first musical I ever saw, and really brought me into musical theatre, because it was just the most thrilling thing I'd ever seen, the original cast doing that show.
Do you ever still get reminded of Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, and the inevitable comparison between a guy who basically gave clumsy lessons to Humpty Dumpty to a very sophisticated and clever singer who never misses a note?
Well, you, in a way, you like to think of it as you developed as an actor, and you start off. I mean, I started when I was 12, and I had a reedy little voice, and it didn't really develop until after I'd done Hello Dolly. It was still very thin, and I hadn't had a lesson in my life. Then when I finished Hello Dolly, I got the chance to do a John Barry, who wrote all the James Bond music,
yes.
John Barry musical called Billy, which was the story of Billy Liar. I did that at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane in London, and they insisted that I went and had singing lessons, because I'd have to last 8 shows a week, and that was quite a task at that time. And so I started going to this singing teacher, and I stuck with him for 30 years until he actually passed away. And I learned and learned and learned. And I used to work like 5 or 6 hours a day on vocals. And years later, I'm still working on the classical sound, and Andrew Lloyd Webber arrives while I'm doing a lesson one day with his wife Sarah. Sarah Brightman, and they went downstairs, and I'm murdering this piece of music, Carousel.
Yes.
And I finish my lesson, leave by the front door. He comes upstairs and says to my teacher, "Who was that? Who was that singing?" He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Andrew, if it was upsetting you." He said, "It's Michael Crawford. He's really not as good, but he will be getting better." And he said, "No. He said, "I think we may have found our Phantom." And by him not seeing my face and not knowing who it was, helped me so much, because it took away the image of Frank Spencer.
Yes.
And they weren't going to see my face as Frank Spencer anyway, so I could be the actor that I hopefully was, and just bring another character from deep inside me, with a much deeper voice.
Well, the important thing is that you had a bit of a health challenge. How did you get over that? Did you need a lot of medication?
No. The thing is, I got chronic fatigue and which I got 5 years ago when I was doing a musical called Woman in White, and I lost a lot of water every night. I wore a fat suit and it took an enormous amount out of me, and I wasn't putting the nutrients back into me, so my immune system went kaput. And I couldn't recover. I couldn't get back. So I didn't have any strength. I'd be all right till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'd have to go back to work. Well, the amount of physical work I'd done during my life, it was completely alien to the way I was. And I thought, I don't know what made me think this. I just thought, I've got to change. Rather than take medication, which they didn't, the doctors just didn't know what it was or how to deal with it, so they give you something that'll either boost you up falsely or quieten you down, and that's not what I wanted. So I decided I would just change my lifestyle, and in a privileged position, I went to New Zealand, and I just bought a house there, and I got a little boat, and I went sailing and fishing, and I grew vegetables, and I just changed my lifestyle completely. And about 2 years later, I felt really 100% better.
That's fantastic.
And then I got the chance to actually work again, because you go out of the loop. People think you've retired, and that's that. And I didn't really want to talk about it, what had happened to me. So I just said, I don't really feel like working at the moment. So nobody ever knew until I went back last year, and then I started to talk about it. And then you get letters from hundreds and hundreds of people who have this condition. Yes. And
what name do you call it?
I call it chronic fatigue, but it's ME. Yeah. Which is, it's more than I can pronounce. Yes. But it is misunderstood. There are thousands of people that have it. Young children have it. First they started off saying it was people being, just pulling a fast one, that they were trying to get out of things. It was laziness and this lethargy. Well, I knew that couldn't be right, because that's not the way I've ever been in my life. And most of these people are exactly the same. They're working mothers or fathers. It happens a lot apparently with women and children. An enormous amount of children have it. So hopefully, when I go back to the UK, I can start to work on giving it a bigger profile and getting the research at full, greater speed and greater advancement than there is at the moment.
I have to congratulate you for what you've done, and you must feel so proud that you can now show your grandchildren a whole different you from what you can remember. Yeah. And you've gone through this really difficult time. I don't know anybody that has this, but gee, we've had a lot of health segments on it, and it's very challenging, and the fact that you've done what you've done is fantastic. So my point to you is, may you endure for as long as you wish. Tell me one thing, how do you relax? Do you cook? Are you likely to go on Dancing with the Stars?
No. No, the pressure's too great. I'm not a great fan of reality shows, but I must say, we had the most wonderful little actress called Danielle Hope in Wizard of Oz, who I think you may hear about in the future, in years to come. She's only 19, and there was the second girl, the girl who came second in, I think the program, I can't remember what it was called, when they found her, Over the Rainbow or something, and the other girl was Sophie Evans, and these two girls, it's defeated my argument about reality programs when finding talent, but just so many times I like to see actors cast who paid their dues. Now it's hard to find that with 16 or 17 and 18-year-olds because they haven't had the opportunity. But in the main, you have some great actors out here in Australia, They do regional theatre. They do work and work and work, and then they achieve something, hopefully, if they're good. And that's the way to come up in our business. So that's my reasoning against reality shows for, instant fame.
Michael, congratulations on what you've done.
Now be quiet, Michael.
No, not at all. You've been so gracious to make yourself available and talk to South Australia. Just tell me, do you keep a tab of how many units you've sold? How many albums?
We went gold yesterday.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, I was presented with the gold album last night, so it's very exciting.
Well,
yeah.
You've got to sell a lot to get gold.
Yes.
And
yes.
Again, whenever one hears music of the night, there's only one person we think of, and that's you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much, Leon.
God bless you.
Love to. God bless you and all your listeners as well. Bye.